The verdict is guilty as charged. Texas justice, it is swift. A jury reflecting and rejecting Eddie Ray Routh's insanity defense in the American Sniper murder trial. Routh sentenced to life in prison for the murders of Navy SEAL Sniper Chris Kyle and Chad Littlefield. Chad's mother speaking out after the verdict late last night.
We're so thrilled that we have the verdict that we have tonight. And thank you guys for being so compassionate and treating us with respect and honoring us. Thank you very much.
Proud, strong person. Lise Wheels, a former prosecutor, Fox News legal analyst, and Doug Burns, a defense attorney and former prosecutor. And good morning to both of you.
Morning.
We now have a lot of the testimony the jurors saw in court that we did not have prior. This is the jailhouse confession on behalf of Routh with investigators from February of 2 years ago this month. Watch here.
I told her I had to kill a man today. It wasn't a want to or a need. It was a need. I had to get out of that situation I was in today.
I had to kill a man today. I mean, those are his words now. Jurors hear this, and it strikes us on the outside that this had to be a slam dunk.
Slam dunk for the prosecution.
No
exactly. And before even this confession came out, he spoke with Agent Briley, not Agent Briley, Texas Ranger Briley. Briley asked him, this is the first person that spoke with him after he was apprehended, did you know what was you doing was wrong? He said, quote, yes, sir. And then he added the sentence, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit here, saying, would it have been okay if I'd stayed there? Meaning he fled in Kyle's truck and then went to Taco Bell, all that stuff you talked about. Would it have been okay if I stayed here? That shows he knew right from wrong. That is the only legal test that applies here.
But, Bill, it was interesting because in that same interview with the Texas Ranger, he said at one point, I fled, I didn't know what to do, I didn't know right, and I didn't know wrong. But hold on, I think this jury concluded ultimately that that was staged, and I think they saw through it. Because the point is...
Sorry, what was staged?
Him saying that I didn't know right from wrong.
Defense.
In other words, he actually quoted the legal standard, and I think the jurors said, well, wait a minute.
Sorry, wait a minute now. Is he on tape? Has he been recorded saying, I did not know right from wrong?
Well, he said, let's get the exact semantics. Right. I didn't know what was right. I didn't know what was wrong. He said that. And I've pointed that out a number of times. But the point is, you know, this jury, I mean, I think the takeaway from this case legally, and Lisa said this a lot, is that it's the distinction between mere mental illness and actual legal insanity. And I don't think we really focused on that in the past, possibly in insanity cases. In other words, the prosecutors were smart. They said, he's mentally ill. That's fine.
Yeah, fine.
But he's not legally insane. Right.
You've got to, you just got to keep narrowing it down to the insanity defense, which is on the defense to prove, by the way. They have to show it. You know, usually a prosecution has to show everything.
Do you need a doctor to come in and sit on the stand and say this is the definition? Or, no, hang on. Okay. Or is it as simple as the prosecution presenting its case and the jurors deciding among themselves, this guy's not crazy?
Look, both sides put on experts, all right? The last expert that came on from the prosecution, a rebuttal witness, said pretty much he was making it up and may have been watching Seinfeld episodes on the Pig Man, for goodness sakes, and that's what he was talking about.
One defense.
But I think the jury, in this case and in many cases, they kind of throw out both sides because they know that experts are going to tout whatever side they're on. They look really at what the guy said, and the guy here convicted himself.
Is it common, Doug?
Yeah.
Is it common for defendants to fake a mental illness?
I think it's hard to...
And can they get away with it?
I think it's hard to generalize on that point, but I think it happens. And I think there are a number of instances in this record, in this case, where he tried to make it appear that he was having... and by the way, one of the knockout punches, absolute knockout punch, was he said something about having schizophrenia, and one expert said those who really have it would not be saying that.
So you're saying, as this case was going along, you're almost making the case that you almost thought his argument would sell?
I thought he had a lot to work with. I mean, put aside a jury concluding that he's faking, if you take it as genuine, I felt he had something to work with.
I think that the prosecution was always in the lead on this one. And, you know, just his words themselves, I don't see where you get back from those words.
This is another thing we are hearing now for the first time. This is the widow of Chris Kyle on the stand. The day that Chris was killed, and she was on the telephone with him. Listen.
I called once and didn't get an answer. Then I texted, "Are you okay? I'm getting worried." It's kind of hard not to put some of it together, that I haven't heard from him and I'm worried and I haven't heard from him, and then a police officer shows up.
These families,
so sad,
as witnesses and as human beings, have shown remarkable American strength.
They
Absolutely.
really have.
Yeah.
They were there in the courtroom, but they didn't. There were no outbursts. There were no protests.
It's a tremendously tragic case all around. I mean, but the reality is, to a pure lawyer, who you kill is completely irrelevant, by the way. And I'm not trying to be sarcastic.
It was capital.
But that's a huge factor.
The jury has rendered its verdict, and this man is behind bars.
Automatic sentencing for the rest of his life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Lise. Thank you, Doug. We'll talk again.
My pleasure.
22 minutes before the hour.